Well, to come after the young man from South Africa who had a wonderful, very cool presentation, and the young woman who works with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, I'm terrified. I'm Iman Bibars. I'm from Egypt. In the last 3 weeks, I was camping in the Liberation Square. So. I really hope to use this because, this presentation has changed completely. When I was told by Marina to come here, the presentation was 70 slides. That's one of my shortest ones. And I thought I will actually talk about how our universities in the region, in the Arab region, are not really a space for anything, and how the young people of Egypt are really apathetic and they're not interested, but also in the region. And then I spent, as I said, 3 weeks working for young people who were bossing me around, and I thought, okay, I have to change that. So this is breaking down the wall, and originally we were talking about the wall of the university. We were talking about that the universities in the Middle East should really open up to the communities. Now we're talking about the wall of fear, how the universities and the students have broken the wall of fear. If I manage to do this, that's good. Okay, if we're talking about the university and how can it really lead us all to be change makers, to be entrepreneurs, to be creative people, then we have to look at the Middle East differently now. The Middle East is no longer the one we know, it has changed. As you see in the picture, it started with Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, inshallah, and the rest of the Arab region. And therefore the universities, higher education has to change too, has to reflect what happened. We have to live up to these young people. We have to go and see how we can accommodate the young people that started it all. And really, the universities must be a space for them. How can the universities be then a space for them, but also a space to create the social entrepreneurs? This is our first poster 7 years ago in the region, when we had all these fellows, and we were saying they are young and small, they are young and old, mature. They are women and men, they're Christians and Muslims. What is common? And Susan Davis, who actually recruited me in Ashoka, said we should do it as a pyramid. You know, you're Egyptian. And I said, okay, I will do that. So it is a pyramid. However, the idea here is, what is common? It is being innovative. It is being entrepreneurial. It is being change makers. So, how can we do that? How can we make the universities create these people? How can we make the universities a space for that? How can we be change makers? And why? Why? For many reasons. Yes, we've had a revolution. Yes, we're getting a democracy. Inshallah, we're getting a democracy. However, the problems will not go away. We have a lot of problems. We have 40% of the 500 million Arabs in the region, which is really 22, 26, 27 countries. They keep on changing, so I cannot tell you. But anyway, the 40% of the 500 million Arabs are youth. So I couldn't help myself. This is really a Liberation Square. I just had to put the picture. Not only this, but there is poverty. And not only in Egypt or Yemen, poverty everywhere, including in Saudi Arabia, by the way. And the one out of every 5 Arabs lives with $2 per day, less than $2 per day. So there's spreading poverty. Not only this, in the 500 million people, okay, it's not working. Anyway, in the 500 million people of the Arab world, we have 65 million who do not know how to read and write. 2/3 of them are women. And in the 500 million, and 40% of the young people, as I said, are young people under the age of 30. 51% of them wanted to immigrate. Hopefully they will not now, at least in Egypt and the countries which are liberated. However, they still do not want to stay. So why the universities? Why do we want the universities? So now we know why we want we want to be change makers, why we want to be social entrepreneurs. But why through university? Why not NGOs or CSOs or the business sector? Really, because the university is the space and the place where the young people will come, and we want them to channel their energies and build and create through the university. This is really your segue to the world. This is where you are going to move from one area to the other. from high school, from being a teenager, giving your mother a hard time, because my son is doing that, to the university where you really can be innovative. So we want to channel their energy. Also, we want the university to be a place to inspire those generations, to give them to give them a place and a space to be inspirational, to be innovative. But we also want them to do this through giving them the skills and the resources. It's not only with Bill Gates nor in Duke here, but we need the resources everywhere for the young people to be innovative. So in sum, the role of university is to challenge the young people, to really empower them and give them the ability to be innovative and inspire them, and to let them feel that they are in a greater community. And really, I have never felt how young people can have a community of their own as much as we felt it in the Liberation Square. Saying that, we have to go back to something very important. Facebook in Egypt was the space for the waiting generation. In Egypt, we had 60% of the population under the age of 30, 40% between the 15 and 30. And they were called the waiting generation. They were waiting to go to school, waiting to be heard, waiting to find a job without, waiting to make an income, waiting to get married. And I confess to the crime of being middle-aged and thinking that they were just waiting, doing nothing. That they were just waiting and being apathetic, being drug addicts, being fundamentalists, and then they proved us wrong. They were creating a revolution through the Facebook. What Facebook offered these people, these young people, a space where it was a genderless space. So women and men were working together through creating a revolution, Christians and Muslims, upper class and middle class, and lower class, lower economic background. Everybody was there, and all of them went together, and that's why they won. What we want in the future in our region is to have the same thing, to have a genderless, religiousless, and classless university. Now, this is really what we should advocate for, and this is what we should have. What type of change, or what should universities do? It should really encourage those young people to create their own ventures. This might seem very common here, but I want you to know that until the revolution, and we're changing that now, the students were penalized if they gave their opinion. They were not allowed in the schools or universities to sit in groups. They were not allowed, there was the security controlling every university. And therefore, if you wanted to assembly, there was no right to assembly, there was no right to invite another colleague from another university and talk. And of course, you were not allowed to start your own venture, a social venture. So what we want universities now in the Middle East to be a place where you can do your own social venture, just like they did the Facebook in Stanford or in the university. We want also our kids to do the same. We want them to be interested and to really want to be change makers. Finally, as in the Arab world, everywhere in the rest of the world, we want the universities to live up to these young people. I was telling my colleague, and I was telling people yesterday, the majority of the young people, 90% of the young people in the Liberation Square were really they were all in public universities. They have never really gone into a training with an NGO about human rights or how to do things. They have never understood what entrepreneur means, but they were change makers themselves. So what I want us to do in Egypt and the Middle East, our university is to live up to them, to break away from our own walls of fear, just like they have done.